What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. We had talked previously about the deal between GameStop and Microsoft, and we had wondered how far the deal would go for GameStop, specifically with the gaming side of things. Could GameStop finally figure out their situation going into what appears to be a more digital-oriented generation? Well, it turns out they may have, as more details have started to come out about this deal, and it looks like GameStop could be benefiting from all of those Xbox Series S systems that they sell throughout the next couple of years. We'll talk about that here today. Also, that PlayStation 5 Burger King contest seems to have all of its details out now. We'll talk about that and how you could apparently win a PlayStation 5 from Burger King. Oh, and there was a rating for a game we've been waiting to hear more about for the Switch, and that's kind of making people hopeful that it could be coming sooner rather than later. Guys, if you enjoyed these videos, make sure that like button helps out a ton, and if brand new here, hit the red subscribe button down below. And we're going to start today with the Xbox Series X and the Xbox Series S, and backwards compatibility with the Xbox One, the Xbox 360, and even the original Xbox system. We had a full post that was put out by Microsoft detailing some of the benefits and the extra features you would see when you plug in your Xbox Series X or your Xbox Series S day one with Xbox One and Xbox 360 games specifically, and a little bit on the original Xbox. But they did show us a video, for example, with the Xbox Series S having the frame rate for Fallout 4 go from 30 frames per second up to 60 frames per second. And trust me, that is a big difference in a game like Fallout, where it is with that action adventure first-person style shooter. It is way smoother when you have that doubling of the frame rate. They also talk about how resolution will jump for older games. We'll have auto HDR, which is great for anyone who's getting newer TVs now, where you can take advantage of the HDR with those TVs. It does make the image look way more vibrant and alive, and that is a really cool feature to have. It appears that it'll just be just thrown on there. Auto HDR really is just auto HDR, which is really, really cool to see. And overall, yes, I know that's going to be a slow start for first-party games on the Xbox, with Halo Infinite being pushed to, we hope, next year. But the fact that basically all of the games you're playing now will come forward with you with performance benefits on the Xbox Series X and even the S, with frame rate jumping, even doubling for something like Fallout 4, was pretty impressive. So go check out that massive blog post they put out, and you can see how your older games will look even better now going into this generation. Also, we had talked about how ridiculous Call of Duty is now in terms of file size on the PC. Modern Warfare is now unfortunately unable to be installed on a 250 gigabyte SSD. That's kind of a problem, right, to hear about that. Turns out, though, today Infinity Ward has a plan for that, as you can see here with this tweet from Paul, who works over at Infinity Ward, saying tomorrow's update will have mode-specific uninstall options for PC Modern Warfare owners, meaning that if you don't want to play the campaign, you can just uninstall the campaign. Maybe you don't care about the multiplayer and you just like playing the campaign, you can vice versa just get rid of the multiplayer. This, of course, would allow you to save space overall. We would hope anyway that would be significant. And this is something that we've heard about going into the next-gen console cycle, that something like this would exist there as well, since we're already concerned with the current generation and the file size. And then we're going into next generation with more expensive SSDs and expandable storage options. So I would like to think that they would give us as many options as possible to cut down on the file size of games, especially if you're someone who gets Call of Duty and you don't care about the campaign at all. It'd probably be a lot better if you can just install the multiplayer and not both, and just have the campaign sitting there on your drive for no reason. Oh, and you all thought I was joking when I said, hey, wouldn't it be great if we could have xCloud on our TVs or our smart fridges? Yeah, this is something that was shown off the other day. You can see this. It was on Instagram as a video that was posted here by Vaping with Twisted. And yeah, it's xCloud being played. That's Doom Eternal on a smart fridge with a controller synced up. That is where we are now with game streaming, by the way. You can play it on your appliances. This is something that, I wonder if this is going to be like how we play Doom on everything. Doom was playable pretty recently on like a pregnancy test, and now here we are with xCloud and game streaming with Microsoft being playable on a smart fridge. I wonder how far we'll take it with xCloud. I guess as long as, especially when we get to the point where we can open up a browser and play it, really, as long as it can open a browser and hold a stable connection, you should be able to play it. So I'll be curious to see where else we can get game streaming and xCloud. Maybe we get to the point where it's playable on like a Tesla like on its screen. I don't know, a lot of places there, but it was just really funny to see this pop up after I made a joke about it like a month ago. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. We're starting right away with the PlayStation 5 competition being run through Burger King. Of course, we saw that tweet that was put out where the king was looking in a bag and it was glowing blue, and then he moves, and it was October 15th was the start of it. And it was really funny. People really thought that meant that Burger King was going to be showing the UI, the user interface for the PlayStation 5. I still think that's something that Sony will just, put a video out on YouTube, and they'll blast that out on Twitter, PlayStation blog, and it'll probably be like a 15-minute tour of the user interface. And you know what? That could drop any day. It could even be today, like later on. It's like, oh, here's the user interface. I think that's how Sony's going to do it. They won't announce it in advance. Boom, there it is. So this looks like it is just Burger King running a competition alongside of Sony, much like we've seen Taco Bell before, right? And we've seen Microsoft partner with different fast food places as well. And here we are now. We can see this tweet here from Wario64 saying, the Burger King PS5 thing is a promotion for a chance to win a PlayStation 5. Purchase 2 for 5 meal between October 15th and November 22nd for a chance to win a PS5 game codes or coupons. And what's great here is we have rules and what you can win here further down. That was seemingly put out last night. It says Burger King is giving away 1,000 PlayStation 5 systems. You know what? I will say that's a few more than I thought they would do. 1,000's a good amount there. 2,000 Sackboy codes, 2,000 Demon Souls codes, and 1,000 PlayStation Now 3-month codes. So that equates to what, 6,000 instant win prizes. And most likely the odds of winning are pretty low. But again, this is promotional stuff that happens every console generation. A lot of times when different games will come out, you'll see this. And it's really funny because on the other side, Microsoft is doing a ton of advertising for the Series X. And what do they put next to it? It's all Halo Infinite stuff. And Halo Infinite is not there. It's on the back of the box for the Series X. So it's like, oof, that is tough. But having Sony, of course, do PlayStation 5 with Burger King, that makes sense. And we can even see them do some more giveaways here going forward leading up to the release. This is going to run to November 22nd, so even be after the PlayStation 5 is already out. And people, I'm sure, will be scrambling to look for it. And I guess for some people, I guess the last thing they can do is just start doubling up on these different Burger King meals to try to get a PS5. I am curious, though, if this is going to push people to really go to Burger King. I don't eat Burger King, and I'm not now more compelled to go get it. But, I mean, these promotions, I guess, work for a lot of these different places. So we'll see. I mean, Nate won it. Apparently, what he told me was when he won the Taco Bell, I believe, system, he didn't even have to go and buy any kind of food. It was one of those entries you get just for free, and they'll just kind of put them out there. It's no purchase necessary, means they have to at least give you an entry if you ask for one, I guess. And that's how he won it. So, hey, maybe you'll win it that way. Otherwise, start loading up on Burger King and decide if it's worth doing that. Next up, let's talk about GameStop and Microsoft. Of course, that deal that they announced seems to really work with some of the logistics of GameStop that needed the help. That Windows XP key was going to be expiring. They had to at least jump up to Windows 7, preferably 10, but I'm sure they're figuring all of that out on the back end of their systems for their computers. But I was curious how far things would go with the gaming side, specifically with revenue going into really what's becoming an all-digital future. I know people don't like to hear that, but that is kind of where we're heading now. A lot of these publishers are realizing it, and they keep releasing more and more information about how physical is being overtaken by digital now. And I keep talking to people who say, oh, I'm all digital now. I don't have a big shelf of games anymore. And that hurts me right here, right? But I get it. That's just kind of the way we're going now. So hearing this right here, you can see this on Twitter, says today GameStop, that's GME, confirmed with Domo Capital that the agreement with Microsoft includes revenue sharing on all downstream revenue, such as digital downloads and digital content from any device that GameStop brings into the Xbox ecosystem. GameStop now meaningfully participates in digital. And now things start to make a lot more sense with what they're doing with Microsoft. They have the Surface tablets, they have the new computer systems, probably to help track these different Xbox systems they're selling, digital codes they're selling, or, as was pointed out with the comment of the day, the other day, them taking in physical games and turning them into digital codes. I feel like GameStop will become a place to do that, a provider for that. and that will of course allow them to then take those physical discs and then resell them in the store. It all is really adding up here for GameStop to be able to survive in the digital environment that is coming. It is going to be a thing, and GameStop had to get out in front of it. You know what? I am a little impressed here because this means, I guess, that if they sell an Xbox Series S system, they will then benefit from any of the digital downloads or sales that take place there going forward as they maybe work to sell to that person. That's a little surprising. I mean, that's very generous on Microsoft's side towards GameStop, but keep in mind, Microsoft wants you as a Game Pass subscriber. Of course, they want you in their ecosystem, and seeing GameStop with over, 5,000 stores right now, it makes sense for Microsoft to come in and give them a piece of the pie if they can guarantee a way to get those systems into people's hands through Xbox All Access, of course, which if GameStop does that, then they, of course, get a piece of, I guess, that pie as well. It's something I wasn't expecting a couple of weeks ago, but hey, a couple of weeks ago, we weren't expecting Microsoft to go out and buy Bethesda, so like now anything's possible. We got GameStop partnering with Microsoft, we got Microsoft buying Bethesda, we're hearing the rumors right now about Microsoft making another acquisition. It's all over the place right now, but I gotta hand it to GameStop. They're actually making some good moves right now. Next up, let's talk about Apex Legends on the Switch because it has now been rated by the ESRB. You can see the page here that was spotted online, and we already knew this was coming, but we've been waiting to find out when it was going to release because it's a free-to-play game, which means they can drop it technically at any time. We've had free-to-play games just shadow drop with like Fortnite as an example during E3 because it's free to play. They don't have to worry about you planning out to spend $60 or is the release going to interfere with another game that needs to be purchased. You just download it and it's free. And Apex Legends is a game that people already play, and people are now trying to figure out when this will launch. And originally, I thought it would come out like November, but it's possible it could be moved to next year unless they have one of those third-party showcases set up again with the partner showcase. And maybe this is one of the games that will be there where they're like, oh yeah, Apex Legends is out now, or it's going to be out at the start of the next season. I believe the next season starts in the second week of November. Someone can correct me down below with the correct date there if that's not the case, but I've seen a lot of talk about Apex Legends having a big update in November, and it would be best to release the Switch version when another season starts so it can be right there. It'll be interesting to see if it has full crossplay and ways to turn it off or on or any of that, but it's exciting stuff to see it finally rated because generally when an ESRB rating goes off, that means in like a month or two, the game should come out. So keep an eye out for Apex Legends either getting dropped just randomly on Twitter or maybe during a partner showcase coming up. And then our last bit of news, let's talk about Spider-Man Miles Morales. Now, when the PlayStation 5 comes out, I'm on Demon's Souls. That's just, like, I see Spider-Man Miles Morales, and the game looks really, really good because I liked Spider-Man on the PlayStation 4, played it like crazy, so I will be picking that up, but like Demon's Souls is one I want to grab. That is going to be the true quote-unquote next generation PlayStation 5 title that I want to check out, but I may jump back and forth now because from what I'm hearing and seeing with Spider-Man Miles Morales, it looks really good. Game Informer had an entire section dedicated to this game, talking all about the different parts with even a boss fight being there with Rhino, which was pretty cool. It's a video they have over on their site, but let's go over some of the details here where we can see Shinobi had a very good summary of some of the different parts from the very long article and write-up that you can also check out in the sources down below, saying the PS5 performance modes. Remember, we have two different modes here. PS5 performance mode is going to be a dynamic 4K 60, which means that, of course, the frame rate will lower if it needs to, just to lock that 60 frames per second in. Does not look like it will have ray tracing though, so keep that in mind. If you want the full ray tracing and all the other improved visuals, you will have to drop down to the Fidelity 30 frames per second mode. I think I'm going to stick with the 60 frames per second mode, but I might jump over to the ray trace mode just to see what it looks like. But the fluidity of the 60 frames per second that I saw with Spider-Man before when they showed that off, the remastered version, I want that version. So I'll be sticking with that. No load screens, even when fast traveling. I assume it's going to fade to black and then fade right back up, which is great. And they're very impressed with ray tracing. Go a little further there. You will progress narrative forward, both for Peter and Miles. And part of that boss fight they showed, Peter and Miles kind of landing down and looking around and seeing Rhino. So I'm excited to see what happens with this part of the story. I assume it's going to then lead into Spider-Man 2 or work to kind of set that stage. And that, I think is going to be the real showpiece for the PlayStation 5. Surely it's being worked on now, right? We assume. And that, I think, is what we're going to really see what the PS5 can do, because keep in mind, Miles Morales is still a cross-gen game with the PlayStation 4. When they eventually go, you know what, it's all PS5, this is it right here, I think we're going to see some crazy stuff from Spider-Man 2. But either way, excited for Miles Morales. I'll be picking that up alongside of Demon's Souls, I'm sure Sackboy, and a bunch of other games. You know, November is going to be a crazy month, an exciting month, but certainly a crazy month. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day, as you're seeing here. This is from Generous saying, sometimes I forget Rockstar exists. Honestly, they barely do anything. You know what? They were around a lot more during the 360 generation with the PS3. I mean, we had a lot of games. It was like every single year a game would come out, almost every year. It was pretty consistent going for. We had Midnight Club, which was great. Grand Theft Auto was around. We had LA Noire, which is kind of a cool idea for them to do because they did something a little different with facial expressions, trying to get you to, of course, see if the person's lying. Rockstar was around a lot more. Then GTA 5 came out. And that was kind of it. They realized that they could, of course, do the microtransactions, and it worked out a lot better for them since they didn't have to develop game after game after game. Didn't work out as well for us because I liked when they were doing game after game after game because they put out good games. Now we wait quite a while for one of their games to come out, right? Or like Red Dead Redemption 2, awesome game, but like that was it. And so we just kind of hang out waiting for their next release, which is GTA 6, or I guess GTA 5, again, on the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X. So that's why I'm hoping that Grand Theft Auto 6 is sooner rather than later, because when we do get a big Rockstar announcement, it's a really fun build-up. It's a lot of excitement because we don't see as many Rockstar releases. And ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit the like button, it really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today, whether it is the PlayStation 5 and the Burger King competition. Are you going to risk it all for that PlayStation 5 at Burger King? Let me know about that. Or what about this deal between Microsoft and GameStop that continues to advance here? And now it seems that GameStop may have found a spot in the digital era of games. It's interesting stuff there. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.